Gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening.
Today we're diving into the world of the big boys, the heavyweights. We're counting down the top 10 must-watch heavyweight fights in MMA history. We've handpicked the most electrifying exchanges between the 265 division. So sit back, relax, and grab a snack and enjoy. And don't forget to hit that like button for more MMA content just like this. Number 10. Kicking off our list at number 10 is Cain Velasquez versus Junior Dos Santos 2. After losing their first encounter back in November of 2011 in just a little over a minute, Cain Velasquez came back with a vengeance at UFC 155. Dos Santos was the 77% favorite heading into the fight. Most had written Cain off. Come fight night, for 5 straight rounds, Cain put on a relentless display of wrestling and striking, reclaiming his heavyweight title in the process and sending a clear message to his doubters with one of his most phenomenal performances. On this night in December of 2012, Cain proved why he's one of the baddest men to ever step into the octagon.
Champion Cain Velasquez!
Number 9. Much of the focus for UFC 140 was put on John Jones and Lyoto Machida.
Trying to finish this fight!
But a hidden gem of a fight lurks just beneath the Jones bout at co-main event, and that would be a much-anticipated rematch between Frank Mir and Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira, who Mir beat by a vicious knockout in the second round when they first fought at UFC 92. After that fight, it was proven that Nogueira was suffering from staph infection and wasn't at his best at all. Fast forward to UFC 140, Mir managed to score a quick trip takedown, but they soon got back to their feet and continued exchanging blows at close range. Nogueira landed a few elbows and a knee before stunning Mir with a swift right hand. Mir dropped to his knees and endured a barrage of punches, then narrowly escaped a choke that seemed likely to finish the fight. However, Mir skillfully reversed the situation, gaining top position and working towards a Kimura. Despite Big Nog rolling to alleviate the pressure, he eventually gave in when Mir cranked the hold, breaking his upper arm bone.
He's got it! It's over! Mir has submitted Big Nog!
The referee noticed the break and stopped the fight at 3:38 of the first round. Mir versus Nogueira is one of the all-time heavyweight classics, without a doubt. Even if you've seen it before, it's worth watching again. Number 8. Next up on our list is the fighter who's widely regarded as the greatest heavyweight fighter of all time who never stepped foot in a UFC octagon. That's right, it's the last emperor himself, Fedor Emelianenko. Pride FC gave us some of the most amazing heavyweight fights, this bout being one of the few that defined the early 2000s and the dark ages of mixed martial arts. The year was 2004 to be exact, and young fans like myself would see the clips from this fight and become fight fans for life. The first round commenced with Randleman moving around briefly while Fedor observed calmly. Randleman then lunged for a takedown, driving Fedor into the corner, lifting him and placing him down by the ropes in half guard. Fedor attempted to roll and stand up, with Randleman also rising and securing Fedor's back. Randleman executed one of the nastiest suplexes I've ever seen.
Can Randleman take it around?
Oh my gosh! Fedor's head!
Landing Fedor directly on his neck, but Fedor didn't even wince. He remained emotionless and worked his way into side control, delivering a series of strikes to Randleman's left ear from the top. Fedor then seized Randleman's right arm for a Kimura submission attempt. As Fedor locked in the Kimura, Randleman screamed in pain and was forced to tap out. Afterward, Randleman lifted Fedor, and the two warriors embraced in solidarity for what they just endured. It was later revealed that Fedor had cracked 2 ribs from the suplex, but Fedor versus Randleman is the best of the best when it comes to a clash of heavyweights.
Kevin Randleman suplexed him on his neck, just threw him through the air and slammed him on his neck, and within moments afterwards, Fedor had him in an armbar. Sloppy body, looked like he just ate a bunch of potatoes and drank beer.
Number 7. At our number 7 spot, we've got Brock Lesnar versus Cain Velasquez. In 2007, Brock Lesnar, known as the Beast Incarnate, entered the MMA arena. Despite his primary background in professional wrestling, Lesnar swiftly made a name for himself. Many were astonished as he defeated formidable fighters such as Randy Couture,
It's the new UFC heavyweight champion of the world!
Randy is still down. He got hurt very badly there.
Frank Mir, and Shane Carwin. However, his prowess seemed to diminish when he faced off against Cain Velasquez, the heavyweight champion, whose superior skill, physique, and athleticism outmatched him. Not only did this fight win Fight of the Year for 2010, but the conclusion of the fight was overwhelmingly voted Knockout of the Year as well.
Velasquez, Lesnar, spinning out of control. Cain Velasquez eats another. Oh, huge knee! Huge knee to the body!
Cain Velasquez defeated Lesnar in the opening round to put an end to his dominance in the UFC once and for all. During the fight, Velasquez trapped a beaten and bloody Lesnar and pummeled him without mercy. In his book, Lesnar explained why he lost to the UFC legend, plain and simple.
He beat my ass, that's what happened.
Number 6. In our number 6 spot, we're going way back to the earlier days at UFC when Randy Couture came out of retirement for a chance of capturing the UFC heavyweight title at UFC 68. The fight began with both fighters circling cautiously. Couture landed a powerful right hand, knocking Sylvia back. Couture pounced, taking Sylvia's back as the crowd roared. Despite Sylvia's wrist control, Couture managed some shots and sought a rear naked choke. The first round ended uneventfully. From the second round on, Randy Couture proved himself to still be one of the baddest men on the planet. He dominated Tim Sylvia in every facet of the fight and kept Tim guessing all night as to what his next move would be. In the final round, they touched gloves and exchanged strikes. Couture executed a slam takedown and delivered elbows from the top. Sylvia tried to escape using the fence, but Couture maintained control, landing knees and securing full mount. Sylvia rolled out, but Couture took him down again. The fight ended with Couture on top, winning by unanimous decision and capturing the heavyweight championship.
This place is deafening!
We've made it halfway through our list, and that means it's time for this week's MMA debate. This week's debate, with both fighters in their absolute physical prime. Who would win in a no-holds-barred fight between Don the Predator Frye and Brock the Beast Incarnate Lesnar? Comment below and let us know what you think. We'll do our best to respond to every comment, and be sure to like and subscribe for weekly MMA content just like this. Now back to our list. Number 5. Featured for the second time on this list and coming in smack dab in the middle of our list but far from the middle of the heavyweight pack, Brock Lesnar versus Shane Carwin is the epitome of why the big boys get the main event spots. Brock secured his place at the top of the heavyweight division with a dramatic comeback victory over Shane Carwin, who was previously undefeated. In the first round, Carwin, who had finished all 12 of his previous opponents in the first round, had Lesnar in trouble with a series of powerful strikes. Lesnar, returning from a career-threatening intestinal disorder, was knocked down and took heavy ground and pound from Carwin, who dominated the round.
I don't know of any other heavyweight in MMA that would have endured the first round against a great fighter like Shane Carwin.
In the second round, Lesnar weathered Carwin's assault, took him down, and secured an arm triangle choke. Carwin, visibly fatigued, couldn't escape, and Lesnar forced the tap out at 2:19 of round 2, ending the UFC 116 headliner at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas. To think that Brock Lesnar crossed over from the WWE and changed the MMA game forever by beating so many heavyweight icons is still mind-boggling to me, but it just goes to show how influential Lesnar is to combat sports as a whole.
Brock's a tough guy. You've got to let the Titans go at it. He did, and Brock weathered the storm. He made it through. Hands down, Brock Lesnar is the best heavyweight in MMA.
Number 4. Rounding the lower part of our list of badass heavyweight fights you should go back and re-watch, we've got to mention the Olympic wrestler himself, Daniel Cormier versus Stipe Miocic, the heavyweight GOAT, according to John Jones anyway. Specifically, within the 3-fight trilogy, Cormier versus Miocic number 2 is the fight most die-hard fight fans think of when we reminisce about the golden age of the UFC heavyweight class. Stipe Miocic waited over a year to reclaim the UFC heavyweight title and seized the opportunity decisively, avenging the knockout loss from their first meeting. Initially struggling against Daniel Cormier's speed and power,
There it is. There's his move. That's what he does to everybody.
Drops you on your back.
Miocic made crucial adjustments in the third round and began targeting Cormier's body. This strategy opened up knockout opportunities to the head, culminating in a fourth-round victory for Stipe. Miocic's mid-fight adaptation showcased his strategic prowess, solidifying his status as arguably the best heavyweight fighter ever. His ability to overcome a first-round knockout in their previous bout made this victory even more impressive, highlighting his exceptional skill and execution. Number 3. At the third spot on our list, we have the thrilling rematch between Stipe Miocic and Francis Ngannou at UFC 260. The lead-up to this fight was intense, as fans eagerly awaited to see if Ngannou could avenge his previous loss to Miocic and claim the heavyweight title. Their first encounter saw Miocic utilize his wrestling skills to neutralize Ngannou's striking power, leading to a dominant decision victory. This time around, Ngannou was determined to prove that he had evolved as a fighter. He showcased a significantly improved takedown defense, which had been his Achilles heel in their first fight. From the opening bell, Ngannou displayed not only his raw power, but also a refined technique and patience. In the second round, Ngannou's hard work paid off. He landed a series of powerful strikes that left Miocic reeling. Demonstrating his growth as a striker and his unrivaled punching power, Ngannou delivered a devastating knockout blow that sent Miocic crashing to the canvas.
And leave these big openings.
Stipe back to his feet, eats another uppercut. Nice counter right from Miocic. Francis Ngannou.
Wow.
Capturing the heavyweight title in spectacular fashion. The only thing that could have made this knockout better is roar of the crowd to go with it. This may be the first and last knockout of this magnitude we ever see without a live audience. For Ngannou, this victory was more than just a championship win. It was a redemption story, solidifying his status as one of the most feared and respected fighters in the division. For Miocic, it was a tough loss, but he remained gracious in defeat, recognizing Ngannou's remarkable improvements and dedication. This fight not only highlighted Ngannou's journey from the mines in Africa all the way to heavyweight champion of the world. Ngannou went on to leave the UFC and entering the boxing arena where he would make a mockery of the WBC heavyweight champion, Tyson Fury, but still getting robbed of the win because boxing is the most corrupt sport there is.
A guy who's had 0 boxing matches, who is an MMA champion, goes and fights a guy who is one of the greatest boxers that's ever lived. I mean, Tyson Fury is phenomenal. Watched it 3 times. He won the fight. I think that's one of the most extraordinary accomplishments in combat sports history.
Regardless, he signed to PFL, and we're excited to see what's yet to come from the Predator Francis Ngannou. He even shares a nickname with another heavyweight GOAT. Number 2. I know unequivocally what the number 1 spot is, but number 2 could be so many different fights. A few runners-up that are worth mentioning are both meetings between Lesnar and Mir, or any of the insanely skillful showings from Cro Cop, but there's one heavyweight fight that overshadows 99% of the others, and that's the first ever UFC heavyweight title fight between the Hammer, Mark Coleman, and Dan the Beast Severn.
And here comes the Beast, Dan Severn. Severn and Coleman have made their way into the octagon. This one to decide the ultimate warrior on the planet.
In a world where true masculinity is under constant attack, I look back at these men and their careers fondly, as both of these men are the true definition of what it means to be a warrior. Severn attempts a takedown, but Coleman sprawls and grabs a front facelock, bringing them back to a standing position. Coleman avoids another takedown and lands a right hand as Severn advances. After blocking another takedown, Coleman ends up in full mount. Severn rolls out, but Coleman secures a rear waist lock and lands short rights to Severn's head. Severn rolls again, but Coleman regains full mount, lands rights to the ribs, transitions to side mount, and locks in a side headlock. Despite Severn's weak strikes, Coleman maintains the neck crank until Severn taps out at 257, making Mark Coleman the first UFC heavyweight champion. UFC 12 would make history as being the first UFC event to have weight classes at all, much less a heavyweight class. Before this event, the UFC was a total free-for-all without much in terms of guidelines pertaining to weight. Starting with this bout, the UFC would consider anyone above 200 pounds to be a heavyweight. Real quick, before we reveal the number 1 must-watch MMA heavyweight fight of all time, don't forget to pound that like button and leave a comment. Thank you for your support. Now back to the video.
My game plan is to win without getting hurt.
The fight between Don Frye and Yoshihiro Takayama at Pride 21 on June 23, 2002 is most often cited as the absolute craziest and unforgettable heavyweight bout in MMA history. This is vintage Pride FC. Hell, this is vintage MMA. They don't make them like this anymore. The match started with an explosive and relentless exchange of face punches, setting a tone of raw aggression and toughness that would define the entire fight. The intensity would ramp up to 100 almost immediately upon the bell to start the first round. These two punched each other in the face over and over for almost the entire duration of the fight, unlike anything any MMA fans had seen before or since. The men threw knees and body shots, occasionally landing devastating blows to the head, creating a cycle of brutal exchanges, and leaving Yoshihiro's face badly swollen and unrecognizable by the end of the fight. As the fight wore on, both Frye and Takayama showed incredible resilience and heart. They were visibly exhausted, bloodied, and bruised, yet neither was willing to back down. Their determination to continue, even as fatigue set in, made the fight a testament to their warrior spirits. Eventually, Frye managed to take Takayama to the ground, where he unleashed a barrage of brutal punches and hammer fists. The referee had no choice but to stop the fight in favor of Frye, who earned the victory. However, the result seemed almost secondary to the spectacle of it all. For Don Frye, this fight was a significant milestone. It marked his final victory in Pride, capping off his storied career in the organization with a performance that highlighted his toughness and fighting spirit. The win further cemented his legacy as one of MMA's enduring warriors. For Yoshihiro Takayama, the fight, despite the loss, was transformative. It elevated his status in the world of combat sports, showcasing his incredible heart and earning him respect and admiration from fans and fighters alike. The bout significantly boosted his mainstream stardom, making him a legend in his own right. This iconic battle between Frye and Takayama transcended the boundaries of typical MMA fights. The fight's legacy endures as the biggest must-watch heavyweight bout, representing the pinnacle of what makes MMA compelling. Raw emotion, non-stop action, and the sheer will of two real men being absolute badasses. Frye versus Takayama will forever be etched in the MMA history books as far as I'm concerned, and should always be celebrated for its contribution to the sport as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, it's considered the manliest MMA fight ever.
Really?
I mean, this is considered one of the greatest MMA fights of all time.
Thank you. Be sure and subscribe to Main Event MMA for more MMA content just like this.